So this is all about the recovery time after a misroll, and the difference between default and alternate, the recovery time. So right now I'm on PC. I'm only doing these tests on PC, and I can only speculate what they're going to be like on Xbox, but they're probably true. But right now I'm using a controller, and I'm using the default control scheme. And as you can see, the misroll time, or the recovery time for a misroll, is going to be extremely quick on a controller on default. So here's an example. And I can get this quick recovery time by just holding A. And I'm sure this works in tournament as well. I haven't tried it though. So yeah, on the other hand, if you spam A, you have this long delay on your misroll. But if you hold A, you take the wall real quick. Now, I'll show that on alternate. So now on alternate, X is to roll and A is to take cover. So if I misroll and spam A, I have this long recovery time. And if I misroll and then hold X to roadie run into the wall like I was doing on default, I will still have a long recovery time. So that's me holding X, which is roadie run, and you can see that it tries to make me roadie run into the wall, which did not happen on default. So essentially on default, you can have a quick misroll recovery time so long as you hold the roadie button after you misroll. If you spam it, you'll have the same delay as on alternate, but if you hold the roadie button, you're going to have a quick recovery time on default. So now on mouse and keyboard, I'm going to start by having the same keybind for bounce as run. So I'm going to put them both on spacebar. And I'm going to leave the control scheme on classic alternate. It's interesting that it even matters because my controller is currently unplugged, but this actually does matter whether or not this is default or classic alternate, even though you're not using a controller. So the key bindings are spacebar for both. So if I tap spacebar, misroll, and then hold it, it's not gonna have a quick recovery time. So it's gonna make me roadie run into the wall, just like on alternate. And this is sort of the default equivalent on PC. They're both on the same keybind. Now if I split the keybind to my mouse 5 and spacebar, I'm going to press mouse 5, and then I'm going to hold mouse 5, and it's going to roadie run me into the wall, just like it did on alternate for the controller. And if I, spam space, or if I spam space, it's going to have that long delay, just like on alternate. Or if I was spamming space on default, or A on default. But now, if I change the controller scheme to default, I'm still using keyboard and mouse. The interesting thing is whether or not the keybinds are the same or split on keyboard and mouse. If the controller scheme is default, I can get a quick recovery time either way. So, what am I on? This is I'll start with the same keybind for both spacebar. So I'm going to tap spacebar and then hold it. Quick recovery time. If I tap it and then spam it, long recovery time. So if you want a quick recovery time, no matter what, you have to hold the roadie run button. So now if I'm going to split them again, and I'll be able to do the same thing. So I'm going to tap mouse 5 and then hold mouse 5. So notice that I took cover on the wall without ever even pressing the spacebar key, which is the key to take cover. So I roll and then I roadie run and then I take cover on the wall. And it's a quick recovery time, and this is the PC equivalent of alternate compared to the controller. So just tap the roll button and then hold it, you take cover on the wall. If I tap the roll button and then spam space, long recovery time.
This was kind of a long video and there was a lot of demonstration, so you may not understand the points made. But there are actually only two things to remember. One, with a controller, a default player can get out of a misroll much quicker than an alternate player can. And on keyboard and mouse, you can get the same recovery time regardless of your keybinds, but the weird part is that your recovery time and actual mechanics of pressing run after rolling are completely dependent on your controller's control scheme. And that's even if the controller is unplugged, so the setting of the controller just shouldn't affect anything if you're not even using a controller. And so basically there are just a couple of odd inconsistencies with the control schemes, and I'm not even sure whether it's intentional or a bug. So I'd love to hear a dev response to this and either get it fixed or just have a simple explanation for it.